We talk a lot about HELOCs on this channel, what they are, where to get them, and how to use them in conjunction with your conventional mortgage in order to access the equity of your home to build wealth in real estate. But what if you don't have an existing mortgage? What if the home is fully paid off and you just want some access to that equity that you can use in order to build wealth? This is what's called a first position HELOC, and I got a lot to say about it. Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you didn't already know, my name's Jay Costa. I'm a real estate investor, agent, and builder here in Northern New Jersey. If you get value out of this video after watching, please smash that like button down below. It truly helps me. Also, consider subscribing because we are building a tight-knit community here of like-minded individuals and investors who are looking to build wealth in real estate, specifically a lot of the time using a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. Also, if you ever have any questions, you could always drop a comment and I answer as many as humanly possible. But in this video, I'm going to cover what's called a first lien or first position HELOC. Now, I do get asked this question from you guys fairly often, and it's more common than you'd believe. Maybe you've lived in your home for a long period of time and simply paid off the mortgage, or maybe it was your childhood home that was left to you by a deceased parent or relative. Whatever your situation is, you now have a fully paid off house. Congratulations. But what if you want to access the equity in this home without getting a conventional mortgage? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you what a first position HELOC is, what the difference is between a first and second position HELOC, what your best options are to access that equity, and I'll give you some tips and questions to ask yourself to help you decide whether getting a first position HELOC is right for you in your situation. First, I want to go over how property liens work. You see, there are many different debts that you could have on your home. The most common is your standard mortgage, but you could also have a second mortgage, a HELOC, a home equity loan, or even back taxes or unpaid bills to subcontractors. And each of those debts will be given a lien on the property in a specific order. So as an example, let's say you have a conventional mortgage. This is the most common lien on a property, and it would be your first lien position. Then let's say you obtain a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. This most commonly is a second lien position after the first lien, which is the conventional mortgage. Now let's say you had a pool installed in the home and you didn't fully pay the invoice or the bill from the pool company. In many states, the pool company has the right to put a lien on your property for the unpaid amount. This would take the third lien position on your property. So you'd have a mortgage taking up the first position lien, the HELOC taking the second position lien, and the unpaid balance lien to the subcontractor, which would be a third position lien. The main reason that these liens are given a specific order is that in the event of a foreclosure or a bankruptcy, when your property goes to a sheriff's sale or an auction to be sold, each debt gets paid off in that order. And chances are the house that's getting foreclosed on is pretty distressed. So a lot of the time it's selling off or under market value. So it's very common for even the first lien position to not fully get paid off, never mind the second and the third. So generally speaking, the lower position that a lien has, the less likely or more risky it is to a lender. So what a first position or first lien HELOC is when you have no superseding lien or mortgage in front of the property or on the property at all, making your HELOC the first and only lien on the property. That means that there's no other outstanding debt coming before this HELOC, and in the case of a foreclosure, the HELOC lender is first to be paid back what they're owed. So what is the difference between a first lien HELOC and the more commonly used second lien position HELOC? Well, a first lien HELOC and a second lien HELOC are essentially the same thing, just with a couple minor differences. They operate the same. You apply for them the same, you obtain them the same, and you use them the same. That is, as a revolving credit line based on the equity that they give you access to of your home. But second lien HELOCs are generally considered more risky to HELOC lenders. This is because they are more likely to default, and since they're in the second lien position in the event of a default or a foreclosure, it's less likely that they'll get all of their money back. So because of this, first lien HELOCs generally have easier credit requirements and often have a lower interest rate and higher borrowing limits. So how do you get or apply for a first lien position HELOC? The process in order to apply for and obtain a first position HELOC is basically the exact same as a second position HELOC. You just have to make sure that the HELOC lender you're applying to does offer first lien positions because not all of them do. I have made a video in the past sharing my top lenders for HELOCs in 2023 heading into 2024. I'll put a link in the description box down below as well as up in the corner. Definitely check that out. A lot of people ask, can you get a first position HELOC if you already have an existing mortgage on the property? Now, even though a first lien HELOC is most commonly used alone by itself, you can actually apply for and obtain a first position HELOC if you already have an existing mortgage on the property. Now, even though a first lien HELOC is most commonly used on properties that are owned free and clear without a mortgage, you can in fact obtain a first lien HELOC on a property that already has a mortgage. You would essentially be obtaining a HELOC and using that HELOC to pay off the first lien mortgage. So in other words, you're transferring the balance from your first lien mortgage into your HELOC, leaving you with only one lien, that is the home equity line of credit. This is honestly very rare today in my estimation because most people have way lower interest rates on their conventional mortgages that they got through refinancing or a new purchase over the last few years. And those rates are obviously much lower than what's being offered on a HELOC as of right now. Frankly, I see no need or advantage to taking out a HELOC and using it to pay off a mortgage at a lower rate. The only reason I could see anyone wanting to do this is if they plan on using the velocity banking strategy. But I am no proponent or expert on that matter. More on this later. So what are your options here? Well, if your house is paid off and you want access to the equity in your home, you essentially have two main options. First, you could obtain a HELOC, which would be in the first lien position. The pros to this would be the pro to pretty much any home equity line of credit. That is, it's interest-only payments, and you only pay on the balance that you're carrying on the HELOC. So let's say the HELOC lender gives you $400,000 line of credit and you take out $20,000 to use on whatever you're using it for. You only pay interest on the $20,000 that you took out, not the full $400,000. This differs from your other main option, your second main option, which would be to simply apply for and obtain a conventional mortgage on the property. If you get a mortgage on a home that you own that you already paid off or is paid off already, you're essentially buying the home from yourself at a specific valuation. But you are paying both principal and interest in your payments, and you are paying interest on the full amount because you have access to all of that money right away. So the pros of a first lien HELOC are very similar to a second lien HELOC. First, you get instant access to the equity in your home. Second, as I said, you're only paying interest on the balance that you carry, an average daily balance, not the full amount. So if you take out a home equity line of credit and you don't use it, it costs you nothing. And third, a first lien HELOC is often easier to qualify for than a second lien HELOC or even a conventional mortgage. So you will be able to get it and get access to that equity quicker and easier. But the first position HELOC does have its drawbacks, especially when compared to a conventional mortgage. First, a HELOC will have a higher interest rate than a conventional mortgage. Second, the interest that you pay on your HELOC is not tax deductible exactly like a conventional mortgage. It's only tax deductible on a HELOC if you're using the funds to improve the subject property. And third, the interest rate on a HELOC is variable, meaning it can and will change. This is compared to a conventional mortgage, which has a fixed rate where the payment will always stay the same. So, should you get a first lien HELOC on your property in order to gain access to the equity? Well, first things first, if you already have a mortgage on your property and you want to use your HELOC to pay that off, I would simply say no. You would essentially be replacing your low interest rate, fixed rate, and fixed payment long-term mortgage that you have with a higher rate, variable rate line of credit. I see almost no reason to do this because if you do this, if you're transferring basically the balance from your conventional mortgage into a HELOC, you're basically abandoning the biggest tool, the biggest wealth gaining tool that real estate provides, and that is the long-term fixed rate mortgage. The only supposed situation where some people do this is when they're looking into the velocity banking strategy. I made a previous video on this topic in the past. I'll put a link in the description as well and up in the corner here so you can check that out. This is a strategy that basically uses your HELOC as a checking account in order to pay bills while direct depositing your paycheck right into your mortgage. You are essentially using the different ways that a HELOC and a conventional mortgage amortize their loans in order to save a bunch of interest in theory. Truth be told, I don't even really fully understand this strategy, but there are many people out there that swear by it. So definitely do your own research. If you're looking for more information on how to use a velocity banking strategy, check out other channels. This is not the one for this particular topic. I would actually recommend the Kwok brothers as probably the biggest and best Velocity Banking Strategy channel to go by. And also Fantastic, she's great as well. But if your home is already paid off, meaning you don't have a mortgage anymore, you could obtain a first lien HELOC. But before you do so, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. First, what are you planning on using the money for? Second, what is your age and employment status, both now and in the future? And third, if you take money out of this line of credit, how do you plan on paying it back? Now, if you only want access to this equity just to have it, and you trust yourself that you have the discipline that you're not going to take out of it to pay expenses and live above your means, go right ahead, get the first lien HELOC. Like I said, it won't cost you anything if you're not using it. Why not have access to the equity in case an opportunity or an emergency pops up? This could also be a good strategy if you just want access to the equity in case an opportunity in investing comes up, especially investing in real estate. But make sure it's only a short-term investment. If you need access long-term to this equity, I would always recommend and always prefer the standard conventional mortgage. That's because of its fixed rate, its lower rate, its fixed payment, and its interest being tax deductible. The fixed payment every month provides stability that a variable rate home equity line of credit will never be able to provide. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Do you have experience with the first lien HELOC, or are you thinking about getting one? If you're thinking about getting one, like I said, drop a comment and I'll help you guys as much as humanly possible. You could also visit my website, realjcosta.com, or find me on Instagram at realjcosta. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next time.